are so grateful for the opportunity to share our work. On our A2 Schools website, you will see every presentation, every video, every board meeting that we've had since March. You can actually see them as far back as you want to go. But I want to share that these slides this evening we've pulled together because I recognize your time is so precious and most of us are feeling overwhelmed with information right now. So we tried to pull out the most pressing themes for a comprehensive update. Please don't be alarmed. It's about 90 slides. Don't worry about that. We're going to stop at about 6 locations to just give the latest update on our safety nets and wraparound supports for our students and families across the community during the COVID pandemic. We're going to stop on the Reimagined learning plan. You know by now that that's the 252-page document that we're required to submit to the state and was approved by the board. We're going to stop on our COVID-19 update to make sure that you're aware of where we are with that. And then we'll kind of end on our current work and next steps and what we can expect moving forward. So I wanted to just point out, I don't think anyone would disagree that all of our work looks extremely different now in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. But what has not changed for us is our critical mission of teaching and learning and connecting with every child every day. So we may not always agree on all of the details, but I do believe that as a community, we are all always together on our critical work of teaching and learning. I do want to mention that this year, this is our path, and we set this out last May, knowing that this would be our path, or that these would be our possibilities for the year. A full virtual orientation to learning, a hybrid model, which allows us to have smaller class sizes and do our work to keep the protocols of social distancing in the schools, and then a fully in-person option. We're looking forward to that day. I want to point out that just like the governor said on the Reopen Michigan plan, this is a dial. It's not an on-off switch. So we know that it is possible through the year that we'll be on all 3 of these settings, and we have planned for all of them. I use this quote because I found this a while back and I've used it a lot, mostly on myself, but I just want to share that our orientation is not to try to convince anyone that virtual learning is the preferred method of teaching and learning in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. We miss being in our school buildings. We miss seeing our children in person, face-to-face every day. That is our preferred mode of teaching and learning. And yet, for this COVID time, we are attending to the science and to the health, public health, and medical components. And so we will be moving through the settings on the dial, and we are absolutely doing everything we can to make sure at each setting on the dial that we're giving our students to our greatest ability what we can. I've been so proud of this community for the wraparound supports that we provided to our families. We know that approximately half of our families in the Ann Arbor Public Schools have been negatively impacted financially by this crisis. We're very mindful of that every day. We're right now right at 535,000 meals distributed, and those are breakfast and lunch, 7 days per week. We have added an afternoon pickup time. I believe it's now at either 5 or 6 locations. We're distributing the food at 22 locations. We have food on buses that actually gets delivered to the doors of folks who have trouble getting to a distribution site. I just want to give a big shout out to Miss Liz Margolis, to our Chartwells team, and to our Durham team. I'm going to have the great good fortune to be over there with them next Monday, because I want to, in a socially distanced way, to thank them for being with us and for providing food and ensuring their food was delivered every week since March 16th. We began on the first day after closing on Monday, March 16th. I do want to point out that it's still important, the free and reduced lunch applications. We do have the emergency food distribution ability now. The federal authorities extended that through December of 2020. But we are asking that if families have not done so, to please fill out the form, because this really helps us with a number of other components, and it will also help us once we return to in-person learning. We've also been busy with distribution of technology devices. 16,500 devices have been distributed, Chromebooks and iPads, over 200 hotspots, and I think they're well beyond 20,000 tech desk help calls. Our rather small tech team is doing all of that work with the help of volunteers around the district, and I just want you to know that that is an equity measure for us. We know that the device and the connectivity are the paper and pencil of virtual learning, and we want to make sure that every family is well supported. We are also purchasing additional Khajiit data packages. We are working with families to sign up for the Comcast Essentials program. The district will pick up the cost for that at $9.95 a month. So if you or anyone you know is still having challenges with connectivity, we believe so strongly, and we're working very hard to get every student connected. And so let us know if you need support with that. We will get you plugged right in. We'll also be outfitting school buses with Wi-Fi in particular parts of the city, and working with some outreach centers to ensure that they're well wired up as well. The school supplies is kind of one of our next stops, and that will come over the coming 2 weeks. These 2 weeks facing us now, and middle school and high schoolers will do that drive-through pickup, and be sure and bring and drop off any items that you have left from last year. We're wanting to pick those up, and also check out our textbooks and our musical instruments and all of the supplies that are needed for school. So that's coming up next on the horizon. I have Ms. Bacalor with us, and she's going to preview just a really exciting piece with our ReckonEd fall programming.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to share our news from ReckonEd that for the first time ever, this is very unique for us, we're offering a set of district-wide recreational activities for kids. And it looks different because it is different from how we normally do programming. I just have a few numbers to share with you. Our goal was to really get kids moving and seeing their classmates even from afar. So we've created lots of opportunities at every school at every grade level for students to come together from a distance wearing a mask and do something physically active together. So these are one-time opportunities, not our usual ReckonEd, join a league or join a class that's going to last for 4 or 6 weeks, because we're trying to reach up to 7,000 students and even more than that. So we've chosen some different types of physical activity, like soccer is always really popular. So we have soccer going. That's coming to every school twice. So every school has 6 sessions of in-person soccer outdoors, weather permitting. Plus we have yoga, karate, and 2 different types of dance. So we've more heavily weighted our programming toward in-person programming, and just everybody knock on wood that we continue to have good weather. So we have 171 in-person sessions happening across our 21 elementary and K-8 buildings for that pre-K to 5th grade age group, which allows a little over 5,000 slots for that pre-K to 5th grade age group in person. For virtual, this is our one-time different types of physical activity. They're also by school to give a chance to see classmates doing something differently. And that we have almost 2,000 slots for that. So you can see we've weighted it more toward in-person. We really want kids at each school to be able to see their classmates in person and do something fun together. And at middle school, right now we're offering outdoor tennis and indoor yoga, we're calling it Wind Down Wednesday yoga for middle school students to help with de-stressing and, feeling good. So, but I think we are looking at if we can add more to the middle school. So how do you find out about all of these things? And register. You go to aarecedonline.com. And this is the website we're using instead of a fall paper catalog. It's aarecedonline.com. I'll actually put it in the chat. So every school has a little box and you can click and see what is available. And, we just want kids to have fun in a physically active way and hopefully get to see a classmate and keep that friendship going in a live in-person way. So if you have questions, we have a team of people at ReckonEd working on this. We're happy to answer questions. And all of our programming has very, very strict COVID-19 protocols, which are also available on the website. But just so you know, they include universal face coverings for every single person who's on school property the entire time on property, so that we are keeping each other safe and we are keeping kids apart as well. So we're trying to have fun from a distance with a mask on to the best extent we can. Thanks for letting me chat about that a little bit.
Thank you, Ms. Bacalor. I appreciate the work that our team has done. I do want to share that the programming she just described is free to all students in the district. So there are a few other programs that are like normal. They're programs you can choose and pay to participate in. But we felt so strongly that we wanted our students to be connected to each other, to have the opportunity to be outdoors, or to join the yoga and other classes virtually. And so our team has done a lot to put together a robust program that will literally give thousands of opportunities to our students. We feel like this is an important time for that connection. Let's touch on our Reimagined learning plan. I'll just hit on some of the highlights. The version of the plan that was submitted to the state in August is about 252 pages. It is linked onto our Reimagined Learning website. So for those of you who really love to read that sort of thing, it's there. We are due to bring an update to that plan here at our next Board of Education meeting on September 30th, and it will be submitted to the state by 1 October. There's not that much of a difference. It will be just a few updates, and we'll be talking more about those as we go. Just want to touch on our core values and guiding principles around our Reimagined learning plan. We've been very careful to keep health and safety first, to hold on to that quality educational experience that's so important for all of us in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Our third value there around supports and connections across the Ann Arbor Public Schools community, and then all of that founded on a foundation of social justice and anti-racism. We are also, and you will hear Ms. Bacalor refer to this often, we're focused on getting as many days of learning possible during the 2021 school year. We know that our science experts fear that there could be a surge in cases in late fall or winter. And so we wanted to begin the year with a strong virtual opening. That was by design. We're working very hard to make sure every family is fully equipped. And then as we're able to, as the data shows us that we can, we'll begin to migrate to transition groups of students into in-school learning. Let's touch just for a minute on, I've put in some components of our equity plan. I won't take time to go through all of that tonight. The equity plan is on linked on the front page of the website, but really that idea of our definition of equity, and I just love the graphic on this slide number 17. This idea of equity is the moral responsibility of each member of our learning community to take the intentional actions necessary to create a learning environment free of barriers, biases, and disproportionality for each and every person, regardless of personal characteristics and social circumstances. I just love that image there because it really shows that when we achieve equity in the way we want to, you see that the fence has been removed, the barrier's been removed, and we are all then able to participate. That's our vision and that's our goal. I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to all of you that had your children participate. About 350 of our Ann Arbor Public Schools teachers who jumped in with us, and we offered for about 450 students with special needs, tremendous opportunity for recovery services. We actually gave services during the summer as well as the summer learning plan. Gave us a great opportunity to beta test a number of our systems so that we were better prepared for our fall launch. Let's talk a little bit about COVID. I bet you've seen this slide. This is our Washtenaw County health slide. You can see that big roller coaster that started right after Memorial Day. And I just want to share that that is really the reason that we chose the virtual start. And then on slide 21, you can see the most recent update of that roller coaster slide. You can see as of September 19th, we really are looking for the rate of infections to come back down again. It has come down, and then now it's jumping around just a little bit. At the same time, you can see on the MySafe Start map that Washtenaw County is that dark burgundy, not the darkest color, but the dark burgundy, and that is a high risk category. That's our region right now. Although we noticed today that our cases and cases per 100,000 is looking better. So we're encouraged by that, and we'll continue to monitor that day by day. The CDC offers guidance on slide 24, and I think you're familiar with this. It's been out for a while, but that of course the lowest risk is to remain in virtual only. Certainly we intend to move to those smaller in-person classes. And then of course we all understand the highest risk would be to be back in full operation with full-sized in-person classes. It's right here that I want to share that we have committed this year that our students and parents will be able to choose a fully virtual, top quality, all of the classes and components offered. That is available for every family in our community. So when we talk in a few moments about returning to in-person school, I always want to qualify that by saying that's based on the family's wishes and desires, of course.
We know across the country there was a big dip in people getting their kids immunized due to various stay-home orders, and the same is true in Michigan. So it's just a reminder, if you have an entering preschooler, young 5, or kindergartner, or entering 7th grader, or a brand new student of any grade, the school really needs your immunization records. We have this wonderful partner in the U of M Regional Alliance for Healthy Schools, and they run 2 school-based health centers in AAPS. One is open right now. The other at Scarlett is still closed, I believe, because of construction happening there. But the one at Pathways is pretty much a full-service clinic for kids from any school to come. Due to COVID-19, you do have to make an appointment, but students of any age can get immunizations, well child type care, other kinds of regular pediatric office type care. So I encourage you to let people know about this resource we have right in our school district. And they have a lot of great services, including translation services for pretty much any language. And the school nurses have developed a new website that you can reach, I believe, through this website. But basically, it's a nurse care corner. If you have a question for your school nurse, you can reach her through this website and send a message to her, and she'll get back to you. I say her and she because all of our nurses right now are women. So anyway, they're available to you for questions through that website.
Thank you, Ms. Bacalor. So let's touch on this idea of a strong virtual opening. And I just want to again thank all of our parents and all of our students and teachers and staff. We have literally redesigned every system in the district, and we understand that there will be glitches and bugs and things that need to be worked out. I just want to share with you, this is dated, it says day 3. Today is day 6 of our full virtual instruction model. And so we are monitoring students now and beginning, of course, to add those supports that are needed. So parents, if you're aware that your student has additional needs, we are working now to make sure that we tool up this virtual learning mode. We will, during the hybrid stage, we'll talk more about that in a little bit, we'll be bringing in students with high challenge in the virtual environment. They'll be coming in first. They will actually have additional face-to-face time during the hybrid model, and we will be using strategies to connect. So continue that conversation with us so that we can be sure to continue to add all of the supports we possibly can. On the website are a number of resources. Be sure to visit that website when you have a moment. I just want to touch on, we have the full programming this fall. So it's our performing arts. We recently right now actually are implementing specialized software to allow our performance ensembles to rehearse and give concerts together, our secondary ensembles. So we're very excited about that. We are implementing the Schoology platform. And I know that we're all learning about that part together. And coming on in the next couple of weeks will be our district-wide digital library. So I just want to highlight this, and you can we'll make sure that you get this slide deck so that you can come back and review more. But this is literally millions of titles of books. They are diverse authors and culturally representative texts. These will be available for every student in our district. We are the only district in Southeast Michigan with this tool, but it allows our students, whether they're in virtual, whether they're in hybrid, or whether they're in face-to-face, they will have a full library, millions of titles available to them. And that is available for checkout 24/7. And we're excited because nobody can lose a book. Everybody will be able to check them out. And it's just a great, great tool. In addition, the companion to that are our elementary readers. So every elementary child will also have access to the academic reading materials. This is called the Renaissance My On tool, and you'll learn more about that over the coming days, but we wanted to include that as well. I want to touch on resources for acceleration. We know that some of our parents are going to use this time to really help students advance, and we have lots of opportunities there. I also want to speak to our students with specialized learning needs that might be in an IEP or a 504. We will be meeting in every case that's remotely possible. We will be meeting all of the components of the IEP. And actually, we're looking forward to those opportunities for recovery services so that our students' needs are met during this time of COVID challenge and change. We have been adding Connect Plus learning groups out in our community. I want to thank Ms. Liz Margolis for heading this up. We have about 225 students currently participating in Connect Plus groups. These are groups where extra support is provided for students who may need that extra boost to be sure that they're fully engaged virtually. We will be continuing to add groups as we move through this fall, and this will apply whether we're virtual or whether we're face-to-face. We want to wrap our students in supports as much as we can. We do hear the concern about our youngest learners, and we are looking at additional ways as we move through this fall to make sure that our young learners are finding joy in their learning, that we're having ways to connect with them virtually, and that school day is adapted to be sure that we're meeting all of our children's needs. I'm going to skip over to the return to in-person, and then we'll wrap up. Lots of folks. We're on our 6th day of in-school instruction, content instruction, and I'm hearing from hundreds of parents every day about when will we come back to our school buildings. We absolutely believe that the best place for learning is at school. And in-person learning is our shared goal. So let's talk a little bit about how we're approaching this. We're very mindful of the Harvard Global Health advisement that the very best way to set up a community for reopening is to suppress the infection to near zero. Now, our rubric does not call for zero, so I want to be clear about that, but we know that it's important to get the community infection rate down, and we've been delighted over the previous week or so to see that coming down. That's exciting news for Ann Arbor. We're working on a metric dashboard. This is a draft, so we've just dropped in the draft here. Please don't quote this quite yet because we're still studying and working through this process. But I do want to point out on the next slide that we are looking at many indicators, and no one indicator is the one indicator that causes us to return to in-person school, but rather it's the totality of the situation. The one concerning area right now today, I'm being very frank with you all, is that the previous 7 to 10 days, we've seen an uptick in the number of cases. So we'll be monitoring that and hoping that we continue overall to see ourselves coming into a better place. Now, when we've achieved lower cases for about 14 days, I just want to touch on what the return to school will look like. Lots of people wanting to understand more about this. So we've been busy preparing our school buildings. We have the plexiglass shields up in the high impact areas. The markings are going onto the floor for social distancing. We have reviewed our indoor air quality systems. Our water systems are being regularly flushed. So we're doing a lot of work. But the focus will be, once we've achieved our metric for 14 days, on 3 stages. So stage 1 will be that we'll welcome our Wi-Fi K1 and 2 students, lower L, in that stage 1. And our preschool students will be kind of along that continuum during that period of weeks. And we're also going to be inviting willing students and families. No one has to, but willing students and families who are most in need of in-person learning, and that will occur across the spectrum of learners, kinder through 12. Then stage 2 will be upper L, and you'll note that the period of monitoring is 3 weeks. So we'll bring in lower L, we'll monitor that for 3 weeks, monitor for cases and any change in our data. Then we'll move to stage 2, which is upper L. And then we'll move right into 6th grade, probably put 6th grade in first and help them learn all about middle school and then begin to phase it in. I do want to be frank that the algorithm is more challenging for secondary because of that value of the learning pod, the learning cohort group that we can easily do at elementary, but it is more challenging at secondary. We can talk about that more a little bit later. We won't hold to any one data point, but we'll be looking at the entire community and we'll be taking the balance of that information. We want to give our parents a little bit of notice, but our plans are ready, and we just so look forward to the day when it's safe and we can welcome our students back to in-person school. Again, no one is required. Those families who want to remain virtual will be able to do so for the year. Again, here's our goal, moving from full virtual. Next phase is that hybrid model, which means 2 days of in-person and then 3 days at home each week. We are working to be able to serve our families during that time with support as much as we can on those days that are not face-to-face. So here are our next steps. We are right now refining our processes and systems for a strong virtual learning beginning. We fully recognize that that's not our favorite choice for any of us, but I do appreciate we literally receive hundreds of emails each day. We do our best to read everyone. We're not always able to answer everyone individually, but we take all of that input into refining the plan. Our next step is that our parents can expect to see a fall survey. That'll be coming out in the next probably week to 10 days or so. And we'd like you to help us with any adjustments that you feel are needed. I'm hearing strongly about the length of the day, and we absolutely share that concern. So we're looking at that. We will continue to monitor our infection rates. We'll continue to add in more and more supports, including potentially some face-to-face supports for small groups of students so that we can meet the needs. I'm so grateful to this community. I promise you we'll continue to answer as many questions as we can. And the one question I get most often is, when will we open? And oh, I wish I knew that answer. When will we open? But we are monitoring every day, and today actually looks better. So, Ms. Bacalor and I check it several times a day, as do all members of our teams.